Hello and welcome to CINQUEFOIL podcast number 3. CINQUEFOIL is a live music series that takes place at St. John the Evangelist Church in Hamilton, Ontario. We've got an interesting format for those who haven't heard this podcast before. We do 5 performers, each coming from varying backgrounds, given 10 minutes to do something on a theme. And the theme is typically tied to the month that we're living in at the moment. So we get together every third Friday of the month. This one was on November the 17th. And the theme was, as I say, settling debts. Settling debts took everybody for a little bit of a surprise. They didn't understand. I presented this idea to the artists and said, it's November, so the theme is obviously settling debts. And they were like, what? But in my mind, settling debts, I had to explain it. It applies in a number of ways. In an old way, November the 1st was literally the day that you would pay your debts. So you would have, as a farmer, this is 300 years ago and before then, you would have your harvest and it would end in October, and then you would pay for basically your mortgage for the year, which would be great. Imagine if we did that now. So that's one debt that we settle. Another is obviously Remembrance Day, and this event happened on November the 17th, just a few days after Remembrance Day, so it was fairly fresh. The debt of, there's a huge debt of gratitude, I'd say first, and then there's some real debts that we live and experience every day in Canada as a result of sacrifices made by people in the past, and so we acknowledge them. And then there's this other third debt, which is a debt to loved ones. November is, outside of Remembrance Day, it's a time to honor all saints. So all the different saints in the Catholic tradition get honored November the 1st. It's a time to go to grave sites. Traditionally, I don't know if that's necessarily a part of our culture now, but the point is there is a lot to do in November. It is not just time to get the Christmas lights on. There is many feelings, and so the series is all about thinking on and meditating about the different aspects and the feelings that we have during each month. So that's what this theme was, and I was very grateful to all of the artists on this one, not that I'm not for the others, but they really came with well thought out programming given such a difficult theme. So the first artist that we had was a trio, usually a quartet. They were formerly called Cosmos Quartet and have changed their name to CQ. CQ is Brad Germain and Joel Banks, Sarah Fries, and Kate Quigley. They're all local musicians who do a number of things in the community with different organizations and bands and things. Brad owns Into the Abyss Records, and he actually curated a playlist for us to listen to leading up to this particular performance. They brought acoustic guitar, an upright bass, and a violin, and they performed possibly the quietest performance I've ever sat through, which was really the whole point of the series. We're in a beautiful acoustic space, and it was called Purple Flowers.
Purple flowers, on golden morning, as mirrored waters bring easy feelings. Watch out for hunters, God's at the pulpit, 'cause all that matters are purple flowers on golden mornings, as mirrored waters bring easy feelings. Strong as my love, strong as my love, of purple flowers on golden mornings, as mirrored waters bring easy feelings. Strong as our love, strong as our love, strong as our love, of purple flowers on golden mornings.
Julie Ludwig is a powerhouse soprano living and working in Hamilton who at the very last second was invited to join us because of a cancellation that we had. She's a friend of mine, and I sang with her at another event just immediately as I got the email from a performer who was canceling. I thought, oh man, if only Julie was available to do this. And she was, thankfully. And so she came in and she just laid everybody to waste, just blew us away with this amazing, powerful voice. She's a coloratura specialist. I think that's her sort of calling card. She's performed with the Windsor Symphony and Calgary Opera and the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra for their What Next series, the new music series, among many other impressive organizations. And given the theme, Settling Debts, she chose some music that was all Schubert Lieder that she had done with her vocal instructor when she was in university, and that she felt very indebted to her instructor for all that that he had given to her, and so the Schubert reminded her of that. The piece we're going to listen to is it's called Gretchen am Spinnrad, Gretchen at the Spinning Wheel, and it is it's programmatic. You can hear the spinning wheel, you can hear the tension. She's very upset. It has a great climax. I won't say anything else other than this is Julie Ludwig with Paul Grimwood accompanying.
Meine Ruhe ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer. Ich finde sie nimmer und nimmer mehr. Wo ich ihn nicht hab, ist mir das Grab, die Gestalt, seines Mundes Lächeln, seine Augen Gewalt und seine Rede Zauberfluss, seine Hände Druck und ach, seine Kuss. Meine Ruhe ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer. Ich finde sie nimmer und nimmer mehr. Mein Busen drängte sich nach ihm hin, ach dürft ich fassen und halt ihn in und küssen ihn, so wie ich wollt, an seinen Küssen vergehen sollt. O könnt ich ihn küssen, so wie ich wollt, an seinen Küssen vergehen sollt, an seinen Küssen vergehen sollt. Meine Ruhe ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer.
A series like this requires support in a number of different ways, either volunteer time or the venue. St. John the Evangelist has been really helpful with that. But another way is obviously we need some dough, and so I went out and sought some sponsorship and found a partner in Personal Mortgage Group. Personal Mortgage Group is located at the corner of Charlton and Queen in Hamilton, Ontario. That's a mortgage brokerage for all of your personal finance and mortgage needs. Personal Mortgage is there for every chapter of your life. Anything that's coming up that has to do with personal finance, you should be calling Personal Mortgage Group. And you can find out more at their website, personalmortgage.ca. Hamilton Choir Project. What's it all about? They are a choir based out of this church where we perform, actually, at St. John the Evangelist. At the corner of Charlton and Locke. They've been rehearsing and performing there for the last 2 years. This is their third season. Actually, there's a concert happening. I think it'll have happened after the podcast goes live at St. John's. They do a number of different things. They do some spirituals, some classical music. If they can incorporate body percussion, they will incorporate that. They do some small ensemble things, some large ensembles. And I feel like there's a growing choir community in Hamilton. A number of people, I think, are going back to it. Maybe you grew up with choir and then you left it. There's this growing momentum in the choir community. And so Hamilton Choir Project is embodying that. They've got, I think they started with maybe 8 people. Now there are 22 people in the choir. Anyway, it's a fantastic group. And what they performed for us on Wednesday, or on the at the last CINQUEFOIL, was Bring Me Little Water, Sylvie, a spiritual with this stomping, clapping, body percussion effect, which I think you'll agree as you listen is very cool. We've got a beautiful new website in the works. It's not quite there yet. We've got something in place for now, but we're hoping to have a bit of a blog and maybe some live video as well as streaming the podcast. And all of that has been made possible by one of our partners, Tom Fleming from Sotheby's Realty. Tom has been in the business for ages. It seems like he also, as I mentioned in previous podcasts, has a beautiful baritone. And if you are looking as a buyer, as a seller, or even just for advice about the real estate market, you should reach out to Tom Fleming. You can find him at alexirish.com. That's his broker out of Oakville. Or just Google search Tom Fleming at Sotheby's Realty. Thanks, Tom. Our fourth performer is a singer-songwriter from Hamilton from a little-known band called Harlan Pepper. Harlan Pepper disbanded a couple years ago and gave this performer, Dan Edmonds, an opportunity to spread his wings out a little bit. And Dan is thriving in his new role as a solo singer-songwriter. He played 3 numbers for us, a little bit on the guitar, 1 song he performed on the piano, and this song that we're going to listen to is called When You Find Love. He had just bought this guitar the day before. It's like a little classical guitar. So it was charming to be a part of his first performance with this guitar. This is Dan Edmonds.
I know you're fucking terrified. Someday you won't be able to remember her face, her hands, the way the pages turned, and all the books that you used to lend her. I thought I knew so much about love and affection, a universe connected when you find love. I can't compel your mind to rebel, sitting in a cell, trapped in one dimension. Your heart still grows, it shows its worth. It leads you back to her. We don't talk about the ending. I thought I knew so much about love and affection, a universe connected when you find love. Oh, I thought I knew so much about love and affection, a universe connected when you find love. Yes, I thought I knew so much about love and affection, a universe connected when you find love. Thank you so much, guys.
If you like the way that this podcast sounds, then you should thank our very good friend and partner, Kirk Starkey from Wolftone. This past podcast, we had a collaboration between Kirk and a good friend to the series, Leon Tahaney from Union Sound in Toronto. I'd also like to thank Adam Melnick from Man About Tune. Every Friday afternoon before we do our CINQUEFOIL performance, Adam comes down to St. John's and he tunes the piano, and he does an amazing job. If you're looking for any tuning services, he also does repairs, also electronic keyboard repairs, which nobody seems to be doing very much in Hamilton, as well as guitar repairs. Anything electronic you can throw at Adam, and he's probably going to fix it. So check out manabouttune.com. Lastly, I'd like to thank Kristin Archer from iHeartHamilton. Kristin volunteered her time on the Friday to actually help move artists around, and she also documents everything for us. She does an amazing job. Everyone seems to know about her blog. If you haven't checked it out, check out iHeartHamilton. Be a tourist in your own city. So thanks to Kristin. Lastly, we have an exciting bill for the next Sancfoil. The next one is December the 15th at Church of St. John the Evangelist, as it always is. You can go to CINQUEFOIL.CA for tickets. I suggest you buy things online because they do always sell out. We have lined up for this one, we're doing a performance by George Crotty and Kirk Starkey, dueling cellos. We have Jeremy Ludwig, who's a beautiful baritone. Really looking forward to what Jeremy has. Alexei Gulenko is coming back. Even though it's only been a couple of months, he was so fun, and he's coming back to play the piano for us once again. We have Wayne Petty from Cuff the Duke and Greylands fame. And lastly, I've put together a little trio of special guests, and we're dubbing ourselves the Sancfoil Singers. And the singer is spelled with a C, with a Sadia. So it's hard for me to vocalize that into a podcast form, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, buy your tickets online at CINQUEFOIL.CA, and we'll look forward to seeing you. So when we first put this idea together of having 5 artists and doing some piano and some choir and all those different things, there were some artists I thought initially that I for sure was going to want to do this. And part of it was because they were friends of mine. Part of it's that they just fit all of the categories well. Like maybe they blended a little piano with some violin, and then there was some choral elements or something. All the crossover artists in Hamilton, there are not many, but there were some people I really thought would be perfect for this. Now, of course, schedules being what they are, September came and they couldn't do it, and October came and they couldn't do it. But November, we just had this synchronized watch thing happening with all the artists. They just happened to be free for November. And one of them that I was really pleased to be able to invite was a group called The O'Pears. They O''Pears. We'll post stuff on the website too, so you can always go and check that out. They are a trio of women singing almost Destiny's Child style vocals. For those who don't know Destiny's Child, that's Beyonce's old band. Destiny's Child, perfect blended harmonies where each singer sounds almost like the same person, but in like a folksy way. They perform all over. They do folk festivals, and the night before they'd actually played it in Paris, Ontario. They perform also with a group called Dwayne Gretzky, if anyone's heard of Dwayne Gretzky. They performed 3 numbers, and then way after everybody left, some of the newly minted diehard O'Pears fans actually asked them to do an encore performance. They did 2 more numbers like at 11 o'clock after everyone was gone. It was really funny. But the song that we're going to listen to in the podcast is called Didn't You Know? And it's a great intro to this group. I think that if they come back to Hamilton, we'll do everything in our power to really promote them, because they're actually from Toronto. They're not from Hamilton. So this song is called Didn't You Know? And it features a cool little, what I think is a dulcimer sound. So if you think maybe we recorded the guitar wrong, it's actually supposed to sound like that.
Always been a wild child, just turned out that way. Run my mouth and run this town. The